final quarter begins right now.
Welcome to the final quarter on CBS 8 Plus. I'm Karthik Venkatraman. That's John Howard. Our boy Jake Garriani is in Brazil.
Yes.
He's not there for football. He's there for football. We'll get into the Chargers getting ready to play the Kansas City Chiefs here in a little bit. But, John, let's start off with the San Diego Padres. What's going on right now, man? I told them a couple weeks ago, don't fumble the bag, and here they are fumbling left, right, and center.
Yeah, the final stretch down the season, the wheels are popping off left and right. As we record this, they're losing to the Baltimore Orioles 7-0, and that's after losing 7 of their last 9 games. And Karthik, the numbers aren't good. Really, it's the starting pitching that is killing things. Over the stretch of 9 games, starters are averaging just 4 innings. You want to see them go 5 or 6 innings with an ERA of 6. And as we record this show, Nestor Cortes was a starter in the game against the Orioles. 2 1/3 innings and 6 earned runs given up. So the Padres falling apart here on the stretch run.
Well, let's talk about Nestor Cortes. This game's not finished yet, but he gave up back-to-back home runs in this game. Not to mention, he gave up another home run in the first inning. It's struggle bus right now for the Padres right now because of how good that they had been prior to this with their pitching. Their team ERA and their bullpen ERA, best among in the MLB. Not the best. Maybe their bullpen was. I don't know. I'd have to go back and check the stats. But even team ERA was amongst the best in the MLB. They were that good at pitching. So for it to kind of be struggling, yes, against the Minnesota Twins, they struggled. Against the Orioles, they've struggled. This is not a good sign for the Padres as the playoffs inch closer and closer. Dylan Cease has not been able to figure it out. Yu Darvish has not been able to find his consistency yet. We are hoping to see Michael King here soon, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But right now, Nick Pivetta is the one guy that I feel like I go into a Padres game is like, I trust you. And then, like, you know, the high leverage arms of the bullpen, John.
Yeah, Nick Pivetta has done very well. The other guys, they're up and down like a roller coaster. After Tuesday night's loss to the Baltimore Orioles, Mike Shildt talked about having a recipe, finding many different ways that this team can win, but right now they're missing a few ingredients. And I don't know so much, yeah, some of it is injuries, but some of it is also starting pitchers not showing up and playing the way they've played all season. This is a team that twice went through stretches of winning 14 of 17. They opened the season winning 14 of 17. And then later in the summer, they also won a stretch of 14 of 17. And those 2 winning streaks are what is keeping this team in the playoff picture. But as this last 2 weeks has been unfolding, boy, it's getting slimmer and slimmer. It's a little bit frustrating for Padres fans to see.
They've got to pick it up. They went to the postseason as hot as could be last year, the hottest team in baseball. This year, it's kind of looking like the opposite direction. You go out after you get a 1-lead game over the Dodgers, you lose to the Dodgers, you lose a series to the Mariners, you lose a series to the Twins, and now you're on the verge of getting swept by the Baltimore Orioles. May I remind you, the Twins are one of the worst teams in baseball, and the Orioles are one of the 5 bottom worst teams in baseball. So that's all that needs to be said, John. That's all that needs to be said. Padres pick it up. They got to pick it up quickly. All right, let's talk about a huge loss in this Orioles series for the Padres. That's Jason Adam, relief pitcher for the Padres. Went down in the 7th inning on that Labor Day game against the Orioles. Ruptured, tendon there in his leg. John, this is a tough one as he's going to be out for the rest of the season.
It really is. He's an 8-year veteran, strong clubhouse guy. Mike Shildt couldn't say enough things about him. 34 years old. You really hope that he can rebound from this, obviously out for the rest of the year, and come back strong next year. He's been with the Padres the last 2 years. 65 appearances this year, and we talked about ERAs being around 6 right now for the starters. In those 65 games out of the bullpen this year, Adams' ERA is 1.93. He has been rock solid the last year and a half for San Diego. And I know, Karthik, you were in that clubhouse after that game. And from what I could hear from the sound you sent back, very somber mood in the clubhouse after he went down.
Yeah, for sure. Ruptured quad tendon. He said in the clubhouse himself he'll be out 6 to 9 months. And, just hearing from other guys how disappointing. I mean, it's not because of just how good of an athlete he is. Everyone talks about how good of a person he is in the clubhouse. Always so nice to everybody, accommodating, just a good guy. And it sucks when you have these guys that are such good people to watch them go out and lose their season. This was his first time ever in his MLB career that he was named an MLB All-Star, and what an accomplishment it was for him this year for the year that he had. And this is a tough loss for the Padres bullpen on top of that. I mean, we talked about it before the trade deadline, the four horsemen with him, Morejon, Estrada, and Suarez. All I can say is, and he said it as well, so lucky and fortunate and such a great deal that was done by A.J. Preller at the MLB trade deadline to pick up a guy like Mason Miller who can come out of the bullpen. And, they lose, obviously, such a great pitcher in Adam and the flexibility of, where you can put guys. But to have Mason Miller, man, that cannot be understated in a moment like this.
You're absolutely correct. The thing about it is, since the trade deadline, they were doing decently, but now in the last week and a half, having lost 7 of 9, A.J. Preller's got to be sitting there pulling his hair out a little bit thinking, oh my gosh, I bolstered everything up, addressed all the needs, and here we are losing 7 of 9. We're on the verge of losing 8 of 10 with the way the game's going right now that is going on while we're recording this. Very frustrating thing, but if Jake was here, Mr. Rose-colored glasses, he'd be pointing out, look.
This is a good baseball team, John.
We're not only alive for the division title, we're still in the driver's seat for the wild card, and there's nothing to worry about. So, yeah, we're down to about 3 weeks. 3 weeks and a couple of days of the season. There's still plenty of time to still win the division, much less a wild card spot.
And we'll show you those standings of both the NL West and the wild card. But first, let's talk about the key injuries for the Padres right now and what they're dealing with. Michael King is a guy that they're hoping to get back here soon, but he's been out for some time. He had that freak accident where he had the nerve issue that kept him out for quite some time. Finally came back, pitched one game against the Red Sox where, of course, he looked a little shaky. It was his first start back and right back on the IL with left knee inflammation right after that start. So hopefully the Padres can get him back soon. They were hoping to really have him ramped up by September. Now they're just hoping to get him back good enough in September. And then you got Xander Bogaerts. He went on the injured list not too long ago with that left non-displaced foot fracture where he hit a foul ball off of his foot. He went down. He tried to tough it out and play the rest of that game. And then he says he wants to come back by the end of the regular season. I'm no doctor. I don't think he's coming back till the postseason at best. It's going to be some time. It's going to take time to heal, and you want him at full strength. And then we mentioned Jason Adam. He's out for the rest of the season. Key injuries for the Padres right now. We also mentioned Yu Darvish. He'd been injured. He's come back. He's still trying to find his form. Jackson Merrill, he's had 3 injuries with the hamstring concussion and then this ankle sprain that he suffered against the Dodgers. He's just getting back, but can he return to form? These are a lot of questions, a lot of moving pieces for this Padres team right now. And this is why it's so important. Let's take a look at the standings. The NL West, let's begin there. Right now, the Padres down 2.5 games, looking to move themselves down 3 games with this loss, and then we'll see what the Dodgers end up doing against the Pirates. But I said this to you and Jake in our text thread the other day, John, but it kind of feels like the Dodgers and Padres are playing for who can fumble the bag worst on this division because, you got the Dodgers go play the Diamondbacks. They lose 2 of 3, almost got swept, was able to hit a walk-off home run to salvage that. Then they lose the first game to the Pirates, one of the worst teams in the MLB, and we've already discussed what the Padres have been doing. What are your thoughts on the NL West right now?
Well, it's amazing. When the trade deadline hit, I was no longer interested in the Padres spot in the wild card race. I was wanting to win the National League West. And since the 2 series against the Dodgers, they've fallen 2 games behind, and now it just seems to be sitting there. And the Dodgers have lost 3 of their last 4, yet the Padres are missing those opportunities to pick up games because they're losing as well, and losing to teams that they're supposed to be crushing on the field. So again, the wheels are popping off, and like you said, Karthik, the Dodgers and Padres seem to be 2 teams that are not interested in winning the division. They're both losing right now. And it makes it very interesting to see what's going to happen heading into the postseason. Yeah, there's another 3 weeks plus to go for these teams to start playing well. You want to be playing your best baseball as you enter the playoffs. Neither of these 2 teams are playing their best baseball by any stretch. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in this division race. And for the Padres, now it's really time to start paying attention to what they're doing in the wild card chase.
One quick note on the NL West, Padres, Dodgers, 2 of the easiest schedules in baseball going down the stretch. We'll see what they make of it. All right, let's move on to those NL wild card standings. The Padres behind the Cubs for the top wild card spot, which would give them a big advantage once postseason rolls around with the home field advantage, at least in the first round. John, the Cubs are right there. They've been playing really well. The Padres have kind of slipped behind them just a couple of days. We're 2 games behind. Now they've slipped even more, and now they're closer to the Mets Mets than they are the Cubs. And, the Cincinnati Reds are getting ready to play the Padres not too long from now here in the month of September. That series, plus the Padres also play the Mets in the month of September. Those series starting to really loom large as the Padres are kind of fumbling the bag right now with not getting these wins.
Yeah, as much as the Padres are starting to see the Dodgers pull away a little bit in the division, they're seeing the Cubs pull away with this top wild card spot. And now the concern is staying above the Mets. It's just one game. And let's not, you mentioned the Padres going to play the Reds. Go one more team down. The Giants, they're suddenly the hottest team in baseball.
For sure.
San Francisco.
The winning record right now.
Yeah, they're now one game above 500, but the story behind that, they have won 9 of their last 10. And for Pete's sake, the Giants all of a sudden aren't out of it, kind of reminding me of the first month and a half, 2 months of the season when the Giants were red hot. It was a 3-team race with Arizona making their shakes known as well in the National League West. But the Padres and Padres fans suddenly need to be paying attention to the wild card standings as they are just one game in right now. And if those Reds get hot, it could be tough, and the Giants are looming as well.
The last thing you want to do is give a team like the Reds some belief that they might be able to make some noise against you and, make some ground. The Padres have an opportunity to put it away. Put it away against the top 5 bottom teams in the MLB. They have a couple of them on the schedule. They blew one opportunity against the Orioles. We'll see what they can do with the other ones. Let's move on to the Los Angeles Chargers. John Howard, they play their first game in the NFL season is back upon us. Thursday, the Cowboys and Eagles kick things off, and then that second game of the season, the Chargers take on the Chiefs in Brazil. What are your thoughts as we head into the season about the Chargers?
Well, as we mentioned on some of the preseason pregame shows that we did, I am picking the Chargers to win the division this year. Jim Harbaugh in his second year, there he is leading the team out. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are more interested and concerned about winning Super Bowls than they are division titles. I think maybe they go a touch soft this year and don't have the foot on the accelerator during the regular season as much as usual. Meanwhile, Harbaugh and the Chargers have everything to prove, and Denver is playing very well as well. So I see the Chargers really maybe taking off and knocking the Chiefs off the top of the AFC West for the first time in a long time. I can't remember the number, if it's 9 or 10 straight years the Chiefs have won the division. But very much looking forward to this first game and love the NFL season being back. The Chiefs, a 3-point favorite down in Brazil, neutral site, both teams with a long flight. Can't wait to watch this game unfold on Friday night of this week.
Yeah, let's just see if the Chargers can beat the Chiefs first, all right? And I think 3-point favorite is perfect because that seems like where it ends every single time these two teams played, except the Chiefs always manage to win by like 3 or 7 or whatever in a tight-knit game. The Chargers just not able to get it done. I'm going to say that they make the playoffs. I think they'll be right there in that 10-win range. I think the Slater injury, with him being out for the season on that left side of the offensive line, I think that's going to end up looming pretty large for the Chargers. How successful would they be? They've kind of shuffled their line. I'm interested to see that. Obviously, I want to see Justin Herbert take a step. I want to see they got 2 new running backs in this year, Najee Harris, Amarian Hampton, the rookie. How are they able to, really power this offense? We know Jim Harbaugh likes to run. It's also his second season. So we'll see how the Chargers do there and how they're willing to fare. All right. Let's move on to San Diego State Aztecs. They got their second game of the season, John, after opening up the season against FCS opponent Stony Brook with a 42-0 victory. They put up a lot of yards on offense. Stony Brook did not even reach 100 yards on offense themselves, so the defense for the Aztecs were great. What are you looking for as we get to week 2 of the season?
Well, I'm looking to see what they do against a higher level of talent and on the road at Washington State. But I'm very excited about what I saw against Stony Brook. Yeah, Stony Brook is just an FCS team, the former Division I AA category. However, this Aztecs defense held Stony Brook to just 95 yards of total offense and pitched a shutout. I mean, this team couldn't score a single point. And Stony Brook is a team that was averaging 25 to 30 points a game last year. And they have some strong running backs. And offensively, we talk about the new quarterback, Mr. Jaden Denigal. I thought he was rock solid. He had accuracy problems at times. However, he managed the game well, and they put 42 points on the board. I think the Aztecs did everything they were expected to do and then some in this first game, even though it was an FCS opponent. And I think the biggest challenge of everything is Coach Sean Lewis has to get these guys mentally prepped that this is going to be a different team Saturday night at Washington State And Washington State is a much higher level of talent than Stony Brook. That's going to be the big challenge, is how these guys are mentally prepared, I think.
And with that, John, I think I want to see a little more consistency out of the offense. You're going to be facing a better team. We saw at times, even though the stats look great, they put up 42 points. It was clunky at times. There were times where the offense didn't really get going. Then go almost threw a couple of interceptions to an FCS opponent. Not the kind of things you want to see. Also, he had that shoulder injury. Let's see how healthy he is going into this game right here. I think
there he is, right there.
I think he'll be okay, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I hope so. Washington State, on the other hand, they had a little bit of a tricky game in their season opener against Idaho, another FCS opponent. Game-winning field goal with, I think, like a second or two left on the clock helps them squeak by. They were up 10-0 in that game, John. Idaho came back. Washington State was up 10-7. They fumbled the ball pretty much in their own red zone. Idaho did not end up turning it into a touchdown, turned it into a field goal, tied the game up. Washington State able to squeak by. Does this give you any bit more confidence that San Diego State was able to handle their FCS opponent handily? And Stony Brook is a top 25 preseason FCS team. So is Idaho. So let's put that in the frame. Idaho maybe probably a little better preseason ranking than Stony Brook. But John, does this give you any sort of confidence that, hey, maybe San Diego State can take down Washington State?
I think they can. I mean, the bookies think so too. Washington State is favored, but only by 1.5 points. So it's pretty interesting. The bookies and odds makers are thinking Washington State is somewhat the equal of San Diego State. Usually you get 3 points for being at home, and with the Cougars just a 1.5 favorite against San Diego State. I look at 1 week's difference going into the season. I was thinking, okay, based on last year's end of the year 6-game losing streak by the Aztecs, and in week 2 they got to go up to a Pac-12 school up in Pullman, Washington. That's a loss. But now, after the teams looked the way they did in the first week, Washington State not looking too good against Idaho, and the Aztecs looking like world beaters against Stony Brook. Now it's a 1.5 spread. I'm very optimistic, and I'm not just blowing smoke here as an alum. I'm optimistic about getting a win up there. Definitely holding their own, and hopefully this is a game that comes down to the fourth quarter and the Aztecs come away with a victory.
I think the Aztecs are coming out with a win, and I think they're making a statement. Hey, we're coming to the Pac-12, Washington State, and we're going to beat you. They couldn't get it done last year. It's a pretty wild game here. That's inside Snapdragon Stadium between those two teams. San Diego State not able to pull it out. I think they pull it out this year, John. I think they do it on the road over in Pullman.
Would love to see that.
Well, I'd love to see that. All right, let's talk about UC San Diego. Big news for them. Seems like they're making big news every single year. But this one, they're moving to the West Coast Conference, man. They're moving conferences already. And that will be happening in 2027. John, they have had a meteoric rise from D3 to D1. D1 back in the beginning of the decade here in 2020. And now all of a sudden they go from the Big West and they get in their first year of postseason eligibility. Both the men's and women's basketball team make it, setting history and becoming the first school to ever in their first year of postseason eligibility to have their men's and women's basketball team make it to March Madness. And then now look at this. They're moving up again to the West Coast Conference. What are your thoughts?
I think it's wonderful. And UCSD, I mean, since I've been working in this market since the late 1990s, they've always been successful in a lot of their programs. When I first started in 97, they were D3, then they made the move to D2, continued to win. And then, as you've mentioned and recapped, they've done very well during their transition time in D1. And now they're going to make the move from the Big West to the WCC. It's going to be very interesting. The WCC is no longer going to have Gonzaga because they're moving to the Pac-12 along with the Aztecs. St. Mary's, there's talk about them moving along as well. I really liked the fact that the 3 major colleges here in San Diego each were in a different conference. You had the Aztecs in the Mountain West. They'll be in the Pac-12. You had USD in the WCC, and you had UC San Diego in the Big West. I thought it was great that you had 3 different conferences. You could watch a bunch of different schools come into San Diego and go watch them play. But now UCSD and USD will be conference opponents and conference rivals. That'll be great for their franchise and for their games. But I'm going to miss the fact that there's 3 different conferences represented here in San Diego. I'm sure it's probably a good move for UCSD, probably more visibility, not so much in the sport of baseball. Big West is known for baseball, but in basketball, which is more the money sport, probably a good move for the Tritons to be moving into the WCC.
I definitely agree. It's a good move financially, without a doubt. That's why they're doing it. They're trying to, get this university as high up as possible based on what they're able to do, through their athletic program. And their athletic program, as you mentioned, is very successful, and every single level that they've gone to has been very successful. We heard from Earl Edwards today, the athletic director from UC San Diego and the West Coast Conference commissioner. Here they are.
This is another milestone in the evolution of UC San Diego athletics.
It's important that it makes sense for both the conference and the institution. And just based on what I've learned about UC San Diego over the past 9+ months, is that their interests and focus is similar to ours, and that is to take advantage of visibility nationally, to recruit the highest level student athletes possible, to focus in on performance and scheduling metrics, and lastly, and most importantly, concern about the student athlete experience.
UC San Diego, man, already impressing the WCC. They were talking about it on this press conference today, that it had been kind of like thrown out there for the last 9 months, but it's really these last 6 weeks where the talks really, kind of started heating up, ramping up. And here you go, UC San Diego moving up once again. And I think it's, going to be financially good for them, John.
Yeah, I first heard rumblings about this yesterday. It all came in such a hurry. And normally when you hear about teams and schools moving conferences, there's talk about it for weeks on end, and oftentimes it's a big clump of schools going to different conferences. This one just being a single blip and happening so suddenly, but I think it's a good move for UCSD, and it'll be a lot of fun to see it play out.
Conference realignment all over the country right now. All right, let's talk about San Diego FC. Their conference realignment was that they joined the Western Conference of the MLS this past season, and boy, John, are they crushing it right now. They tied the MLS record for most wins by an expansion team this past weekend, and they did it against their rivals LAFC in what was a wacky game, man. I'll start us off here because this game was just absolutely wild, and I loved every single second of it. The way LAFC got up in this game, the way San Diego FC found a way to fight back, and they did it with their DPs, man. Chucky Lozano coming in, he gets the goal, and then Anders Dreyer would go in and punch the game-winning goal, I believe his 6th of the season. Mr. Clutch MVP candidate Anders Dreyer. Man, San Diego FC is a fun team to watch, man.
Yeah, 7 straight road wins now, which ties an MLS record. Cincinnati and Montreal both have done that, longest single-season road winning streaks. So they could break that record, already have matched it. And Karthik, as you mentioned, the wins is a record, and they have 56 standings points, second most by an expansion club in their first season. LAFC, their bitter rivals here that you see in the video, LAFC scored 57 standings points in 2018. And right now, SDFC stands at 56. I think that's a record that's easily going to be broken. And then, to top off the notes and the numbers, SDFC 5-0 versus the California teams, and they have already clinched the season sweeps of LAFC and the LA Galaxy. This team has just continued to impress since game 1 of their inaugural season, and it's been a kick in the pants to have them in town and to watch them continue to do well.
Been a lot of fun. A lot of tense moments at the end of that LAFC game, just like the first one, though. They just kind of had to hold on. But they got it done, and it's really fun. And, hey, the Kings of California, man, they've gone up 5 matches against California MLS teams. They won them all. That's what we love to see from San Diego FC. What a first season. Well, you don't get to watch them this upcoming weekend, though. They got a little bit of a break as a lot of players called up to international duties, so we'll see them again on September 13th. All right, we wrap up the show with a cool thing that's happening this Sunday, John. San Diego Wave will be retiring Alex Morgan's jersey on Sunday against the Houston Dash. That game and that match set for 5:30 p.m. A really cool moment that's going to be. Obviously, she's a national icon for everything that she's done for women's soccer. And, here's her in her final game as a San Diego Wave player. And what are your thoughts, John, as we go into Sunday?
Well, I think they're doing this right. I received a press release today talking about they're not just retiring her jersey on Sunday at halftime or whenever they're going to do it at the game. They are doing things all weekend. They've got a mural somewhere. This is not the mural. That's a banner there at Snapdragon. But they've got a mural that's going to be unveiled on somewhere in the community. We haven't found out where yet. They're having all kinds of parties and gatherings. It's like a weekend-long celebration of retiring her jersey, and it's well-deserved. She's an icon in the sport. It's great that the San Diego Wave got to enjoy having her on the team, and it's going to be a lot of fun for the Wave and for Alex and for the soccer fans to watch what unveils this weekend, all being capped off by the game and the official jersey retirement on Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. It's been building up for quite some time. Mm-hmm. You had an inkling, they were kind of dropping some stuff here and there, and you're like, all right, well, Alex Morgan's going to get her jersey retired, and what a career she's had. Obviously through her international career playing for the U.S. women's national team, but also, her club career that ended with the San Diego Wave, in which she was able to win a Golden Boot with the club and help them to plenty of success to launch their, new club, and that came into San Diego a couple years ago. She's been phenomenal. Now she's, helping with the organizational part of things, the behind-the-scenes part. Very well deserved. Very excited. I'm going to be there on Sunday, so I think it'll be really cool. And hats off to Alex Morgan. She is simply the GOAT of women's soccer, so that's really cool to see.
We've seen a lot of tears there, and I'm almost getting a little choked up.
John, come on, man, a softie.
And I think we're going to see a bunch more tears on Sunday when that jersey is retired. When an athlete has their jersey retired or they make the Hall of Fame, they don't think of what just happened. They think of their days in youth soccer and youth sports when their parents were taking them all over the place, and years and decades of work culminates in a moment like a jersey being retired or a Hall of Fame induction. And I think we're going to see some more tears on Sunday.
It's going to be an awesome achievement. Mm-hmm. All right, thanks for joining us and watching us on CBS 8+, the final quarter. You can catch us on there. You can catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on the website. John Howard, I always get to send them off. You send them off, my friend.
All right, Aztecs are going to knock off the Pullman Washington State Cougars by 3 points on Saturday.
Chargers get a dub?
The Chargers, yes. The Chargers win by 2 in Brazil against Kansas City.
We'll see if John's right next week. Catch y'all later.